All right, Wrestle Mats in 3, 2, 1. Matty Riser, Matt Kelley. We are counting it down to the Royal Rumble. Would you like my practice there, Matty? I'm getting it in before Saturday.
And three, and three, and two, and two, and two. Here we go.
Oh man, the Royal Rumble always a blast, and we got a big show coming up tonight as we are trying to predict the outcomes to the Royal Rumble. Personally, Maddie, it is my favorite night of the WWE year. Yes, I am including WrestleMania. What about you? Where does the Royal Rumble fall for you on your favorite events on the WWE calendar?
I think it's one. Like Pat Patterson says, oh, the Gaga, the Goo Goo, oh, Maddie baby. Oh, I can't wait. I love it, man. It's right there. It's surprise galore. How
Are
do
we
you
sure
not
he
like
was
the
talking
Rumble?
about wrestling? We'll maybe leave that for
Well,
another conversation.
the old Ring
Uh,
Boy scandal of 91. I feel like it was yesterday. No,
uh,
yeah, I agree. I don't know, but Rumble, one for sure.
Yeah, man, I love the Rumble and I'm excited for it. And WWE is pulling us in all sorts of different directions as we head into this Royal Rumble weekend. And we were kind of, chopping it up a little bit before we started this episode, Maddie, and that we're having a difficult time for the first time in a minute with some of these predictions and where storylines are going. And for me personally, I I don't know. In the words of JR, Jim Ross, good old JR, it's not always bad that things are predictable. And I think sometimes fans get caught up on they want a surprise and the unpredictability is what makes it great. And that's not always the case. But I gotta say, moving into this Royal Rumble weekend, the amount of unpredictability in terms of where certain superstars are headed, either for the Rumble or after, it's got me excited for the probably more so than like the last 5, 10 years or so.
Oh, absolutely. We don't know the main events yet. We don't know who's winning, what Cena's doing. To me, it's just a big mind fuck right now of what's going on. I don't know, but I am so freaking pumped to see all these studs in the female and males rumble. We're gonna have a hell of a road to WrestleMania.
So there is currently, as we are recording this, there are 4 matches that are on tap for this Royal Rumble PLE. We're talking about the undisputed WWE Championship being defended in a ladder match. Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. The tag team titles are on the line. Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY in a 2 out of 3 falls match, and then we have the respective Rumble men's and women's Rumble. So let's jump into our mid card topic for this show, Maddie. And it's not often that we're going to bring up the WWE Undisputed Championship in the mid card portion of a show, but that's where we are because the Rumble is going to trump everything. But let's first thing first, let's slow it down. Let's back it up even from that. This 2 out of 3 falls tag match that we have with DIY with Motor City Machine Guns. Now, Motor City Machine Guns making a quick name for themselves here on the main roster. They've already been tag champs. They haven't even been their calendar year yet. And here we have DIY, Gargano, and Ciampa, who are as good of foes as they are as good of a tag team. So love seeing what they're doing right now. 2 out of 3 falls. I think personally for me, Maddie, DIY has a lot more tread left on the tires with those tag team titles around their waist. So I think they get by Motor City Machine Guns here and maybe even set something up bigger for WrestleMania. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think it's been a good feud so far. I think the Motor City Machine Guns have been a great avenue, a great addition to the SmackDown brand. I expect a lot of high spots. I don't know who's going to win this, but I think this is going to be a very entertaining match. And I'm with you. I'm a big DIY fan, so I think that's the route to go moving forward.
Let me ask you a little bit of a personal wrestler question, Maddie, because I know you're a fan of bigger wrestlers a lot of times. What do you think about this tag division, having guys the likes of Gargano and Ciampa, having guys the likes of Motor City Machine Guns? They're not the biggest guys in the world, but they're in there putting on some good matches.
Yeah, so it's tough because I've seen how fast paced they wrestle, and I love storyline based selling moves, and that's not a lot of times you get that when you have such a fast paced match. But I do for tag wrestling for something that you need. I think both are very cohesive units, and I think that kind of makes up
Agreed.
for their size. You've
Yeah.
seen the past, the Rockers. They're not necessarily the best, the biggest guys, but they're able to sell and they're able to move fluently, quickly in the ring. And I think if you can just be a good tag team. That goes a long way in tag team wrestling.
So that is actually my favorite thing about both of these teams is that they are appearing as a tag team. They're not being
Yeah.
announced as like two single superstars that have been mashed up together. They got matching gear. They both got their own entrance. They got the full thing. So I love that they're
Right.
both actual tag teams, and I think that's actually going to make for a good match. Out of this one, even though I begrudge the 2 out of 3 falls stipulation in this one, it's not my favorite, but we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't think you have to have it, but I think it's something else for us to be kind of, maybe this one, maybe it's predictable or maybe it's just unexpected, and we really like this after it's all said and done, because you do have two great wrestling tag teams.
I am going to reserve judgment because of that exact fact. So let's get into the bigger match here in the mid card, and let's talk about this ladder match for the undisputed WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes, currently the champion, has held the title since last year's WrestleMania, coming up against Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens has been as hot as maybe almost damn near anybody on the roster. I mean, Kevin Owens has a lot going for him, and when you think about KO's history in terms of WrestleMania, it's been pretty damn big, man. Stone Cold main eventing WrestleMania for the tag team titles. I mean, Kevin Owens it might be modern day Mr. WrestleMania. I think you got to watch out for KO, and WWE has done a really good job, I think personally, of teasing the possibility that Kevin Owens may be walking out of this thing as champ.
Dude, he's giving off those Roddy Piper vibes.
Yeah.
The promos, the just disrespect he's throwing on Cody. This is what, their third time they faced, and we've seen Cody win 2 out of 3. So this is telling for KO. Either he's going to crack under pressure or something, but we're going to see a lot of story-driven narrative in this match.
Well, I love that you brought up the kind of the modern day Roddy Piper vibes, and you got a lot of mind games kind of being played by Kevin Owens. You know, he took on Jimmy Uso here recently and came out in a Naomi shirt, and then he took on Cody didn't take on Cody, but at the contract signing, I think he had the Cody Sucks Eggs T-shirt,
Yep.
that used to go around. So I'm loving all of this from Kevin Owens, and as we talked about kind of at the top of the show, there's a lot of different directions that a lot of different superstars could be going, and Kevin Owens is actually one of them. So we've seen his interactions going with Sami Zayn, and we know that they have a dated history. So is Kevin Owens destined for gold? Is he destined for a run-in with Sami Zayn? Does he somehow find his way into the Royal Rumble after, we don't know the placement of this match yet? Does he lose this match and then come back and get back into the Royal Rumble? I think there's a lot of options for Kevin Owens, and I'm not sure where it goes, man.
Dude, I didn't even think about him losing and entering the Royal Rumble. That sounds like something he would do too.
I think it's on the table.
Oh, and then just the stuff with Randy Orton he's had in the past. Does that come around to bite him in the butt? Or Sami Zayn, what is going on there? Is he turning heel or is he turning face? Is it just mind games more with Kevin Owens? This is one of those that just has me confused.
Yeah, I mean, he had the I think he had a Sami Zayn Forever shirt or something on here recently, and so that kind of tells me those two could be destined. But like I said, man, with all of the different possibilities, because the way that I personally see this Royal Rumble card, and I think it has to fall this way because I don't think you can have back-to-back Royal Rumble matches. And with only 4 matches on the card right now, maybe there's a 5th that gets added, but I think there has to be a buffer match. So I think they start out the Royal Rumble hot, in that they have either the Rumble first, one Rumble, and then 2 matches in between until the next Rumble, or they go match Rumble. And so they could start out the PLE, the Rumble with Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens out of the gate, and then that gives you time to not forget, but kind of lull on the fact and think that Kevin Owens' night is done, and then lo and behold, he ends up in the Rumble. So I don't think that's a bad way to go.
When you mentioned Sami Zayn, maybe he costs Owens the title. Maybe he makes an appearance in the Rumble to cost Sami Zayn. Yeah. It's just endless possibilities. And I keep going back to Randy Orton. He has that, with the legacy with Cody Rhodes. He has history with Kevin Owens knocking him out. So there's stuff there too. Maybe it's a Rumble thing. Maybe it's not, but I just think there's endless possibilities for this ladder match. But we got to think Cody wins this, right? Cody's got to go on to WrestleMania.
I have a very difficult time seeing a path for Cody Rhodes to not win and get to WrestleMania as champion. Now,
Right.
does Cody retain at WrestleMania? I have no idea at this point because I have no idea who his opponent is going to be. But I do think, man, see, they've done a good job. They've done enough to cast like a little bit of doubt that says maybe KO.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it has to be Cody here. I really do.
When you had Bash at Berlin, Cody won clean.
Mhm.
Then you had the Saturday night's main event, Cody wins again. So there's going to be a breaking point if KO loses this match. I don't know how that feud pops off into something else, or if KO, causes Cody a title down the road, something like that. But it's going to be there's something with KO building. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a marquee player coming up for WrestleMania. So let's jump into our main event for this episode. And that is, of course, each of the respective Royal Rumbles. And here is what we got, Maddie, to start out with. I'll just kind of give you the roster and the lay of the land as of us recording this episode. So for the Women's Royal Rumble match confirmed so far, we have Nia Jax, Bayley, Liv Morgan, Naomi, Bianca Belair, Raquel Rodriguez, Charlotte Flair. They did confirm Charlotte Flair. We'll talk about that a little bit more.
Whoa!
Ivy Nile, Io Sky, all in there. 19 still to be announced as of this recording. So out of the ones that are already confirmed, Maddie, I think that's just telling us it's a stacked lineup, and we can probably expect some more stacked surprises. I don't think the list ends there. So let's just talk about the Charlotte Flair news since I touched on it there. If they are announcing Charlotte Flair, do you think that means they have something bigger, a bigger surprise in the works? Because think about back to CM Punk's return, right?
Yeah.
The big thing was Randy Orton actually coming back that night at Survivor Series. We all thought Randy Orton was the big surprise, and it turns out it was CM Punk. Now we have Charlotte Flair coming back. Charlotte's a huge name, arguably the biggest on the women's side of the roster. Right there, neck and neck. Becky Lynch, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, they're all kind of right there in that tier, right?
Right.
And so if you have a name like Charlotte Flair coming back and it's announced, do you think there's a bigger surprise waiting in the wings for the women's rumble?
Yeah, I mean it seems like it's Charlotte and Becky, right? Becky's got to come back too. It just makes sense.
I think Becky's the name.
Do you see anybody else big? I mean, is Alexa Bliss bigger than Becky? I don't think so at this point.
I don't think she's bigger than Becky in terms of like being on the main event or merch sales or anything like that, but I think she is definitely anticipated. Now, there's some rumors out there I saw earlier this week that maybe there's some contract friction there in terms of how Alexa Bliss's contract was extended throughout her pregnancy and her time off and that sort of thing. So we'll have to see how that plays out and if she's actually coming back. But that is definitely a name to watch for. I think the one that has the most legs right now, I talked about in a previous episode, is AJ Lee. Obviously, that's been rumored forever and a day. And I think that's kind of the only one that would mirror and rival a pop that isn't a Becky Lynch or a current superstar on the roster. However, I do have one more name that I just thought of, and it's growing a little bit more legs, and I could see getting a very big pop, and that's Nikki Bella.
Okay. Now, and so make sure I'm right. Nikki was the one that was at Raw, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So, and then she is doing the Peacock show. I don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I don't know.
So there's advertisement galore right there. It would make sense. I think that would be, and the Royal Rumble is on Peacock.
Correct. That is correct as well.
You're planting the seeds there. I think that makes sense. I think I could definitely see that.
Yeah, I don't know personally. I don't. To your point, I don't think any of the names are necessarily as big as Charlotte Flair. You got Charlotte and Becky have always been tied at the hip, so I think they are 1-2 or 1A, 1B, however you want to see it, and then everybody else is kind of, maybe a little bit below that. But I think it's something interesting to watch for. Jump over to the men's side for a second. We got John Cena confirmed, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, yeah, Jey
Whoa.
Uso, Rey
Uh,
Mysterio, Sami Zayn, and 21 more to be announced as of our recording here. So the men's rumble, Maddie, I really do think is bleak in terms of trying to actually predict who wins, because there's a lot of unknowns to this point, and I hope it stays that way up through Friday. That there's a lot of unknowns in terms of who is going to be coming back, who is going to be coming out during this thing. Do you have a gut lean? Do you have a gut feel? I don't want you to say your winner yet. We'll leave that towards the end of the show. But what do you think about the how this build is proceeding for the men's rumble?
yeah, it's star-studded, and they keep saying that. I think it's leaving a lot of question marks, a lot of surprises. But I think I do have my hand on the pulse of who I think's gonna win, just the way that opening Raw promo came out. I think that's kind of,
Okay,
laid some groundwork.
okay.
But I mean, it could surprise me. I don't know what Punk's doing. I think that's another one. I'm not saying who, but I really don't know Punk's trajectory moving forward to WrestleMania.
Yeah, I agree. They're doing a really good job of mixing around superstars right now with each other, and nobody's really honed in on one specific person. And I think it just makes it that much more unpredictable as we move forward. So let's get into some of these fun predictions here, Maddie. And the one that I want to start with is, as we've talked about before, there's always a feud that gets started, and it's kind of really what we've been alluding to. There's going to be some feuds that get started. We're going to get some WrestleMania clarity. We're going to get some direction for some of these superstars coming out of this Rumble. So, what is a feud that in the middle of the Rumble that you can see getting started and taking on some legs and moving us into WrestleMania season?
Middle of the Rumble. So the feud I want to see, which I don't necessarily think it's going to happen, but I really want to see Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, the feud where they're working together, something happens. I would love to see that, or I would love to see, I know it's not necessarily the middle of the Rumble, but the Rock Roman story continue.
I agree full heartedly on either one of those that you want to sign off on. I would love to see either of those happen. I think obviously Roman Rock feels a little bit like now or never.
Right.
It feels a little bit more necessary. However, when the Shield was all in WWE, so Dean Ambrose and or John Moxley, whatever you want to call him for the sake of this conversation here, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, we all thought we were going to get this WrestleMania triple threat match at some point. Never happened at WrestleMania. So as much as I want to see Roman and Rock, I also want to see Roman and Seth at WrestleMania. I need both of these to get done. And it's going to be unpopular, but my preference is Roman and Seth. I think the chemistry and all the things. Think about what Roman sacrificed. He literally sacrificed his title run to go hit Seth with a
Yeah.
chair. How
Long-term
is this
booking.
not? Yeah, I mean, back to their last match in terms of throughout Roman's title reign, he didn't actually beat Seth. He got DQ'd because he all the mind games that Seth was playing gets himself DQ'd. So he never actually truly beat Seth. So I think there's a lot of meat on the bone there with Seth Rollins. I think if we hop over to the women's side of things, I think WWE has one chance at this. And hear me out, Maddie. I think they
Let's hear
have
it.
one chance to tell this story, and I think they have one chance to turn this character. And I'm talking about turning Bianca Belair.
Mm,
She has said forever and a day that she does not want to turn heel. She loves going out and doing the WWE community stuff with the kiddos and all that sort of thing. She likes going out there and having fun. And I get it, but I think the EST needs a fresh coat of paint. And what I would like to see is for Jade Cargill to come down to the ring, hug it out with Bianca Belair, look at her and say, "You bitch," and then just throw her over the top. And that's it. That's it.
whoa.
They don't need a whole big interaction. They need that one thing. Jade throws her over the top. It was Bianca that attacked Jade, and you got yourself a WrestleMania match.
It's so hard for me to like Jade Cargill. She gives me those narcissist Lex Luger vibes. So that's like as a face, it's hard for me to get behind. But
I think though, I mean, I think it'd be hard pressed for her to come back and not be face. And
right.
I think her going away is WWE's investment in getting her to the point of being a singles competitor. I really think that's the whole drive behind her being away, is for her to be marketed and presented as a singles competitor. And
One
so who better to do that with than her tag partner, who she already knows, who is going to go in there and take care of her for a match and be able to get her
right.
through. I think that would be a great
What
one-on-one marquee match for Jade Cargill.
Well, that's the thing. It's unresolved business. It's long-term booking. And then if you do make Bianca a heel, long term, you have Rhea Ripley, Bianca too. And that could be, we saw what was it a couple of years ago, the stare down after
Right,
WrestleMania,
right.
both champions. I think that could be, money. Then you have Bianca versus Becky versus Charlotte. So many
It
big
makes
time
Bianca fresh
matches.
to everybody.
Yeah,
It
yeah, it
makes
makes
Bianca
sense.
fresh to everybody. Yeah.
And like you said,
So
it gets Jade over in the process.
I personally would like to see it. I think the more obvious choice is to say it was Naomi. Naomi's been a hill before. She took Jade's place as the tag champ.
Nah,
I see them going that road, and I'm fine with it.
but what
And
does it add? Like,
Naomi could use. I mean, she's just super
yeah,
easygoing baby face, and she could use a fresh
right.
coat of paint as well. But I think this is really your one shot to get it done with Bianca Belair. So that kind of doubles up on actually what I was going to talk about next. But Maddie, do you feel like there's another superstar that might turn on one of their friends, on one of their
Ooh,
partners in the midst of the Rumble to try to get themselves that Rumble W?
tough. I don't. It's so hard, man. Like I said, I'm so confused with so many people. I don't know what's going on with Solo, another guy. What's his long-term booking arch in this? Is he going to join with Roman? Are they going to continue that on? Does the bloodline turn on? You saw Solo walk out on Fatu. So what's going
Mm-hmm.
on there? More steps, but I'm not positive there. But I think there's going to be more seeds planted for that as well. What about you? What do you have for us?
You keep taking my answers, man.
Am I really? No, just
Yeah,
no way.
yeah, and we
I
have not
wouldn't.
talked about this at all.
It's hard to
So
think, like,
eh,
because there's no
well,
clarity so far.
that was my first thought though. Is Solo Sikoa trying to turn on Jacob Fatu, and Jacob Fatu at this point is just inevitable. Like he's just a beast, man.
Right.
And so I could see, I could see Solo trying to turn on Fatu, and that not going very well for Solo. And I think Fatu is probably. I don't want to say underrated, because once he's in the ring, like, he's not
No.
underrated anymore. But I don't think enough people are talking about him in maybe the splash that he's going to make this weekend. So I think that makes perfect sense to your point. They're kind of not disbanding as the bloodline, but I could see, Fatu and Tongaloa kind of sticking around as a little bit of a team, and then Solo going off and doing his own thing. And then you got Fatu and Solo Sikoa right there. Great match
Yeah.
made for WrestleMania. See no problems with that at all.
Yeah, you gotta have something for Solo to do next. And I think Fatu is a good, transition piece to whatnot to see where you're gonna go with Solo after that. But I think gets Fatu over. Fatu's a hell of a worker, and I love the tandem with him. So I think that's perfect.
Who do you think is gonna end up with the most eliminations in this Rumble? We've got a couple of folks, including Fatu, if he ends up in this Rumble, that could easily make a case for themselves. But let's jump back over to the women's side with who we have announced so far. Out of who's announced, Maddie, who do you think stands to have the most eliminations in this Rumble?
Man, I would love to see Charlotte go the distance. I would love to see
Oh, the
her,
distance.
yeah, go kind of that Ric Flair spot, one or two or
Okay,
three.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, get the most eliminations, but if not, I mean the easy one right now is Jax. She's kind of had a renaissance, I'd say, a turnaround the last 6 months. I think she's upped her game. So and she's a dominant heel. It makes so much good sense. Get some NXT girls in there, some whatnot. Just have her clean house to kind of set the tone for her next feud.
Yeah, so if we look at the top 10 cumulative women's elimination so far, and this is courtesy of smarkoutmoment.com. Absolutely fantastic site. Just a litany of information here on the Royal Rumble, but the top 10 cumulative women's eliminations. Number 1, Rhea Ripley at 20. Number 2, Nia Jax at 19. So I think she at least gets the record here with that. Bailey is sitting there with 17. Charlotte Flair, Shayna Baszler tied at 15. Bianca Belair, no surprise, in the mix in the top 5 there at 14. Natty at 10. Michelle McCool, oddly, with 8. And then you have a whole host of folks tied at 7, 6, and less. So, I think Jax at least gets the record. I could see Charlotte Flair kind of eliminating the most and being, number 2, or maybe even surpassing Jax upon her return here in this Rumble. So let's move over to the men's side. Who do you think gets the most eliminations there? And I'll run it back for you in terms of who has the most there as well. And we were right in talking about this on a previous show. Glenn Jacobs, if you will, 45 as Kane, 1 as Isaac Yankem as an elimination. So he has 46 total eliminations. The Undertaker has 40. Shawn Michaels has 39. Stone Cold Steve Austin with 36. Braun Strowman with 34. A good place for Strowman to move up the list. Big Show, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Triple H there at 32. Randy Orton on down the way at 29. So a lot of folks could be moving on up this list, and I think there's a good case for some new guys to pop up here as well. What do you think, Matty?
Yeah, I want to say Breaker, but I don't know necessarily if that does him any good being the one. Yeah, he's the IC champ, and he's got so much. We just mentioned Damian Priest kind of a backpedal, but I think that's a way to keep him featured. I really don't know what they're doing with Strowman, if that kind of leads to more Fatu. Obviously, he's an easy one. It's tough. McIntyre's another guy. He just he could clean house towards the middle of this Rumble and make a presence. I think would be perfect. I'd always love to see somebody from NXT make a big splash. Who's their champion right now? Do you know off the top of your head? Big guy. What's his name? I don't know. But anyways, like a Omos. I wish
it's fine. Had you not asked me right now, I would have been, yeah, I can give you that. I was about to say Trick Williams, but I know it's not Trick. Oh, it's Obafemi. Obafemi. You're on mute, buddy.
Oh, sorry about that. No, this would have been a perfect Bronson Reed spot.
Ah, yeah.
So to me, I'm not sure. I can't say Omos. I don't know who's the big guy, big nasty heel they're pushing. Breaker makes sense though.
Yeah, I think I want to stick with my gut and say Fatu. I think he's just going to get in there and go crazy. I really do. I think it's a great spot for him to do that. And I think he gets in there kind of early, that 8, 10, 12 range. And we talked about it on a previous episode too, where that 10 to 19 range of entrance maybe isn't necessarily always the meatiest of entrance. And so I could see, a few guys just getting fed to Jacob Fatu and him getting a few quick ones in there. So let's talk Iron Man and Iron Woman. Who do you think is going to end up in the ring? I know you said Charlotte Flair on the women's side. You'd like to see her go bell to bell here. You got an idea for the men's side and who you think might just stick it out the longest?
Men's side, it's going to be. I think it's going to be like a Roman Reigns or somebody. You're a big main event guy. I don't know if there's necessarily one. We've already seen Jey Uso do that, so that kind of takes away that fire. To the men's side, I really don't know, but I'm almost certain that Charlotte would be early in and stay the whole way. We haven't brought up Penta. What's his role in the Rumble?
Yeah. I mean,
is he even declared yet? I don't think he has.
I I don't think he has, and I think he's a great entrant. And this is actually one of my entirely too early WrestleMania predictions. You got to be careful with Penta right now, right? You got to be
Right.
careful on because he's not winning.
Yeah.
But so that means you got to have somebody eliminate him. And Matty, this is my way too early WrestleMania match: Dominic Mysterio and Penta
Oh
at
God.
WrestleMania.
Oh
And
God.
I think Dom is the perfect person to throw Penta
Oh
over.
my God. Oh, dude. Oh,
Tell me it wouldn't be just
please.
immense heat.
That would be
Immense heat.
amazing. Yeah, dude.
It
You just
scares
got me.
me. Now, it scares me that it's going to be Logan Paul, and I realize that we did not mention him in the list of names, but he did declare before we jumped on. I could see it being Logan Paul as well, and
That's huge.
with the pace that Penta works,
Yeah.
as much as I don't like Logan Paul, man, I think it would be a good
Yeah.
WrestleMania match.
See, and what's funny is I thought Logan Paul would be shortest Rumble.
Oh,
Like,
short.
yeah. So, but he makes a lot of sense for the longest as well. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, he
LA
can
Knight
really.
makes another good. I mean, they're not doing anything with
Yeah,
him, but to just kind of showcase him in a whole Rumble, it makes sense. But yeah,
yeah,
dude,
that
Dom
would
versus Penta. Holy crap, dude.
see the only thing that I worry about with that, Dom can actually go, and I hate that they're kind of putting Dom in this spot where he doesn't get a lot of offense. I want Dom to have a match where he really gets a little bit more offense, so he looks a little bit more credible in a match that may be featured at WrestleMania with Penta, because
Yeah,
everything we've seen out of Penta so far says he is just all gas, no brakes, my friend.
dude, crazy.
So, longest in the ring for the men. I don't think it's going to be Cena.
No,
I don't think it's going to be Punk. I think it's going to be Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Kind of right there, neck and neck. And I think that story is going to play itself out. I don't think you can have those two guys in there for a short amount of time. And there's a lot of meat on the bone for that story.
I
And I
love it.
think it's a great spot for them to hang in there for 30, 40, maybe even 50 minutes. I'm really, really curious as to what spot either of those two enter. And if you'll notice, Maddie, we haven't even gotten, as we head into Royal Rumble season, we haven't gotten the old, what's the thing that they spin and draw draw the ball
Yeah,
to see where we
yeah,
haven't gotten the old lotto balls. We haven't
right.
gotten any of that.
Hmm.
We don't know who number 1 is. We don't know who number 30 is. The whole damn thing is just a complete unknown right now. I'm loving this. Who you think is gonna be making the biggest surprise at the Rumble?
We talked about this in future or past episodes. I want Lesnar so bad, man. I want Lesnar to just show up and wreck shop. I don't know if it's needed. With
Yeah.
I don't know if it does anybody favors for Lesnar to go in there. He's such a showcase. You don't necessarily need him in a Rumble with all these big name matches, but man, a big surprise.
I
Man,
mean, I will say this for Lesnar. Now, obviously, he got named as a part of that whole lawsuit, and his name was thrown around in there with Vince and all that stuff, and that's largely the reason he's been off WWE television, and I get it. However, WWE is notorious for when they want you to not know about someone, they make no mention, they have no presence of that person on any of their socials, on their website, anything. And Brock Lesnar is listed as an active superstar on their page right now. So I don't think it's the most out of the world thing that Brock Lesnar could show up in the Rumble.
and then going back to The Rock, man. How cool
Oh,
would it be if The Rock made his own call? He's number 31 in the Royal Rumble.
all
Hey,
he has to do is say, I'm the
yeah,
guy.
start the clock.
I
There's,
get whatever number I
yeah,
want.
yeah.
Yeah.
You think the Rumbles all 30 are in there. You're down to your final four or whatever, and you hear the clock start ticking again, and
Oh, have
The
him be
Rock comes out.
31?
Yeah,
Oh,
Rock
have him be
makes it.
31 would be even
Yeah.
better.
Oh,
Oh,
everybody
God,
wouldn't know
I love
what's
that.
going on. He throws out whoever he wants. If he wants Cody, he goes back
That's
to that.
such a better idea. That's
He
such
makes
a
that
better
final
idea.
boss like vibe to Cody, and you get Cody
It
versus him, or he
so
throws
it
out Cena. Who knows?
it does multiple things. One, oh my God. I can't tell you how much I love this story, and I can't tell you how much I love that you waited to tell me this until we started this podcast. It does so many things. It makes The Rock just a bigger jerk than he
Yeah.
already has been with the final boss character. It gives WWE something that they also love. They also love having something unique. This would be the only Royal Rumble with 31 entries. Oh dude, I love
Maybe
it
he
so
just
much.
comes in to eliminate Roman Reigns. And then you
And yeah,
have
and then just yeah,
and then
man.
Roman Reigns has to fight on, 2 nights of WrestleMania somehow or something. There's so many avenues there with Rollins being, you think he could turn heel easy, but like where does this all go? But yeah, The Rock just doing his kind of corporate thing would be so fun.
Yeah, that's 10 out of 10. That's what I want to happen now. All of my predictions and spoilers and biggest
Oh,
surprises are all by the wayside now. They're all shit in comparison. It doesn't even matter what I have to say anymore. Damn
what
it,
a
Maddie.
yeah,
No, I do still think there are legs there for AJ Lee to come back, and I do think that would be fairly big for the women's side of things. I think for the men's side of things, depending on if he's cleared, and there has been some rumblings of this, and that is AJ Styles. And the reason that I think that's so big, Maddie, is because AJ Styles and John Cena have had some notable feuds in the past, and I could see that getting reignited in the middle of this Rumble too. And I would love to see AJ Styles and John Cena one more time personally. If this is truly it for Cena, that's one more I'd love to see have a run with. But in terms of like somebody else coming back that is going to be there week in and week out, I think we've kind of named it. Honestly, I don't
yeah,
really see anyone else unless there's somebody else getting signed. Now, obviously, on the women's side of things too, Jordan Grace, I think, is probably the most obvious candidate to
right.
make her presence felt and say, "Hey, I'm here on the main roster." So I think that's actually, obviously in fair play. But otherwise, I think we're going to
What
get a
about
few
Big E?
callbacks. Oh, man, that is
And it's like a pipe dream, but there's got to be something
it's
with him in the New Day, right?
it's
There's got to
edge
be
territory
legs.
to yeah, it's kind of edge territory to me, and that I'll believe it when I see it. And I do have a little bit of skepticism in thinking that they only brought him out in that New Day segment just to get New Day over his heels. Like there has to be in my head, there has to be something more. Like maybe they thought he had a chance of getting cleared and he is cleared. Now, if he is cleared and he does come back, pop of the night,
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I don't know how it's not.
yeah. I mean,
Big
dude,
E is beloved. So I mean, I think that would have to be pop of the night.
just more intrigue as we get ready for the Rumble, baby.
All right, let's try to nail this episode down, and let's try to nail down our predictions. Maddie, who do you got winning the women's Royal Rumble?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with my bet on Charlotte Flair. She was on top of her game when she went out with the knee injury in what 23. I
Yep.
think she's I think there's just too much. It's right there. Her and Stratton. It's a match made in heaven. She can get over Stratton. Yeah, it's got to be Charlotte, and I want to see her go the distance.
I think Charlotte is a pretty natural heel. Um, and with Tiffany Stratton being as over as she is right now as a baby face, I do think that makes the perfect and probably most obvious pairing. So for as unpredictable as this card is, I am gonna have to agree with you there on Charlotte Flair. I'm trying to even think of like an outside who else could Becky's the only other one that truly
Yeah.
comes to mind. Maybe they go the Becky route and
When
there's something.
I thought Bianca, but like you said, there's unfinished business there. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense for her to just abandon that completely. She's got a feud with Jade.
Yeah, I think so. So to me, it's Becky or Charlotte, and I've got Charlotte as 1A and Becky as 1B. Final prediction of the night, Maddie. Maybe the most unpredictable one as of yet. Who do you like winning the men's Royal Rumble?
I don't love it, but we heard kind of the first episode of Raw on Netflix, Cena come out, do his promo. He's chasing that, 17th world championship. I think people want to see him versus Cody at WrestleMania. If Cena wins this one, he'll have his third Royal Rumble win. Right now he's tied with Rhodes, HBK, and Triple H with 2. It just makes sense for Cena to be put in there versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, I get all that. I really do, and I'm not going to be shocked at all if John wins. Let's talk a little bit of John and his retirement tour just before I get to my prediction here. Just since you have Cena winning, do you think there's any value at all in having Cena not win the Rumble, but then to go on and win the Elimination Chamber, which is really the only PLE that stands in between the Rumble and WrestleMania?
The only worry I have with Cena in the Elimination Chamber is him getting hurt. I know you're trying to, you're worried about his body. So if he goes to the chamber, the chances of him getting hurt are that much higher. We've all heard, it's unforgiving steel, where it's a lot easier to, hang out in the Royal Rumble and just throw some guys over, in my opinion.
Nobody claims for that match to be fun. Like I've heard only bad things about participating in that match. So yeah, I kind of agree with you there that this is his spot to main event WrestleMania. I know I talked about in another episode the possibility of CM Punk, AJ Lee, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins in a Mania match, and I'm going to hold off on that just a little bit because I really think if AJ comes back, I think it's a one-off. I really, really do. And maybe there is a part of Punk that wants to share that spotlight in a better environment and during his comeback, and maybe that does happen. Maybe that is the route that it takes. But man, CM Punk, something about CM Punk in a WrestleMania main event. I think this is a good time for it, and I'm gonna slightly lean and say CM Punk. John Cena is gonna be my 2, just a smidgen behind, but I think CM Punk pulls it off, and I think this is his WrestleMania main event year.
Do you get CM Punk versus Cody or Gunther?
That's a harder part. That's a much harder question. Man. So I think
faces,
that Rock,
or like I think that's my other question. So if we get, let's just say Cena or Punk win, then who does that leave?
Gunther with?
Yeah, Gunther. Right. If he's not facing, if it's a face WrestleMania match, then who does Gunther face?
Right, which is kind of what we're both projecting right now, right? So you kind of have to, we would have to figure that out, I guess, at Elimination Chamber. But there's guys, there's definitely guys that'll come through, and there's always somebody that kind of presents themselves throughout WrestleMania season. We saw it with Kofi Kingston, like he got hot at the right time. We saw it with Daniel Bryan, he got hot at the right time, and people demanded them at WrestleMania. So I don't think that's out of the realm for somebody here, but. To me, I do think it would probably be Cody if CM Punk were to win. There's a lot of Cody Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins sort of vibes between the two. Like I could
Cody
see
Rollins, baby.
Yeah, he's a whole new superstar. But I could see them putting on a very similar type match and a very similar type story. So again, Punk's just one of those guys where clock's ticking. He's not getting younger. There's more opportunities for him to get hurt. And so I think if you're truly going to project him, I can't imagine CM Punk has an entire career, 10 years in between, and then doesn't main event a WrestleMania. So that's kind of why I'm projecting him to win this one. And then we'll have to see. I think there could be a litany of ways for Cena to either get to the title at WrestleMania or before his run ends. But the only thing that's really throwing a wrench in all of this, and the only reason that I think Cena could just be the most obvious and the easiest one is, again, WWE likes having those records broken. So Cena, being in there to get his third Rumble and then to also get that 17th title, that all just seems like gravy, for his retirement tour.
I would love to see CM Punk throw out, John Cena and give him the wave,
Oh yeah, I mean
it would be perfect way to end the men's rumble as well. So I love both answers. I think you've got a ton of intrigue for this men's rumble, and we're gonna have a hell of a fun time Saturday night.
Well, you're going to see a lot more of us from the WrestleMats about the Royal Rumble across all the social media platforms. Find us at WrestleMats. We're in the process of getting the podcast out to all of the platforms as well. So eventually, if not already, by the time you're hearing this, Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, all the things, wherever you find podcasts, WrestleMats is your destination for this wrestling talk. Matty, it's been a hell of a lead up to the Royal Rumble, my man. A pleasure as always. You got a send off for us?
Yeah. At WrestleMats, all social media platforms, get ready to rumble.
See you guys next time.